Oh, are we on the air?
Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today we're going to look at Efren Reyes running 6 racks of 8 ball, see how many tips we can pick up for you guys from that. This is a match that goes back to 2005. This was the King of the Hill Invitational, and at the time was the highest money match in the history of pool for a prize of $200,000, which was more than doubled the following year. Guess who won it then? Anyway, we're going to watch Efren play Mike Sigel. And for the most part, we're going to be watching Efren because Mike is only going to get to stand up a couple times during this match here. So we saw the break from Efren, and I want you guys to notice what's happening on these breaks. Efren doesn't put a lot of power into the break, but he does control the cue ball, not to the center of the table as a lot of people try to preach, keep the cue ball in the center of the table. That's a very difficult task, even for most professionals. There's a bunch of balls flying around trying to hit it, but just controlling the cue ball to a point where you do not scratch is going to be key in a lot of matches. If you hit them solid, you're going to make a ball on the break. Now, Efren is running through his rack pretty quickly here. The one thing that I want to give you guys as he runs these out is you've got to have a couple things in mind when you're setting up your runouts. And one of them is to have a strategy. I talk a lot about the key ball in my videos. And one of the things that you need to understand is everybody's heard this, you have to have a strategy for running the rack. You have to see the pattern, and you have to know what your shot is going to be prior to the 8 ball. A lot of guys run 7 balls, they get to the 8 and they miss. And the reason is they don't have a strategy, they don't have a key ball in mind, and they end up with a difficult shot on the 8. So Efren makes another controlled break, makes 2 balls on the break without putting a lot of effort into it. And Mike Sigel complains about it. And we know this because he's mic'd up.
Both went in. I had him 100 miles an hour to do that.
Efren also has on a wireless mic, but you won't hear his voice the entire event. Even when things are going bad, you're not going to hear it from him. One of the things you can learn from each of these players, Mike Sigel is one of the greatest players. And Efren is the greatest player to ever walk the earth. But Mike is going to complain. He's going to be very animated. He's going to do his own commentary while he's shooting. And he will fill his own head with negativity. Whether or not it affects his game in the long run, who knows? He's had such great success. But that is a bad habit, guys. You watch Efren, even when crazy things happen, even when he gets bad rolls, he's smiling the whole time and doesn't let things get him down. So keep that in mind. So the next thing we can pick up from Efren is that the 8 ball is so close to the side pocket, he knows that's where he wants to play it. You have pretty easy rack from here. He's going to use that 5 ball as a key ball because it is an easy draw shot to get back on that 8 ball. So everything that he did up to this point led to getting that 5 ball. And if you want some help in figuring out your patterns, one of the good things that you can do is work from one end of the table to the next, so you're not going back and forth. One of the things that make rotation games like 9 ball more difficult for a lot of players is the balls are spread out. But with 8 ball, you can use them like dominoes to get from one place to the next. So Efren started at one end of the table and worked his way back to the other end. And you don't always get that opportunity, but if you see it there, use it that way. And again, know what shot is going to be your last at least 2 shots before the 8 ball. He knew the entire time how he was going to get to that 5 and how the 5 was going to be used to get to the 8. Even intermediate players could see that pattern, but too often they get out of position on 1 ball, and next thing you know, everything breaks down. You'll see a consistent pattern also with Efren's break. Each one of them, he has broken the rack and brought the cue ball back towards him. That's because there is a little bit of draw in the shot, and he's not going out of his way to keep the cue ball in the center of the table. As I said earlier, it becomes very random, but he does bring it back in a controlled fashion. So here Mike is going to talk his way out of another shot. He's literally saying, I want the low balls, but I don't want to shoot the 7. Guys, the message you send to your brain is so important. Let's listen to Mike.
I don't want to shoot the 7 first.
You cannot verbalize these things. You certainly can't say them out loud. If you're thinking it, you've got to get past it. But don't tell yourself, hey, that 7-ball shot is too hard for me. I'm not going to make it. I want the low balls, but this shot is too difficult. The one good thing you can learn from this is that he's not going to take the easy balls. The stripes have the easiest first shot, but he knows that the low balls are more likely to run out. So he's going to take those even though he's got a more difficult shot. Now, the fact that he talked himself out of the shot 3 or 4 times up to this point means that he's going to have a difficult time making this ball. But at the same time, he did pick the right balls to go after because those low balls were poised to run out, but you might need to make a more difficult shot to take those balls. It's worth it in most cases. So Efren's going to come to the table, and Efren has a pretty easy run out. He's going to run this out 99 times out of 100. These balls are just laid out for you. But as I always tell you guys, take care of your problem shots early, or at least know how you're going to take care of them. Efren may seem to not have one problem shot on the table, but he does. The problem shot is the 8-ball. You should think of the 8-ball as being your ball. So if the 8-ball is your ball, what is the shot that you need to make sure you take care of to clear that ball out? And that really is the 7-ball that Mike just missed. So the 7-ball is going to be kind of a key to his key ball because it's setting almost in the pocket there. So it acts as an insurance shot. But these balls that are sitting in front of the side pockets are the best key balls. I say it over and over again, and a lot of people don't understand it because they don't understand the position advantages that side pocket shots have. But shots that you can play in the side pocket get you to so many places on the table that they make outstanding key balls. Usually people that don't have any straight pool experience don't recognize this as much. But side pocket shots, you can come off of 1 rail, 2 rail, you can come around the table on 3 rails. If you're on the wrong side of the ball, you can come around off of multiple rails and get on the correct side of the ball. So he knew he was going to use one of these 3 side pocket shots as a key ball, and it's going to be the 6-ball in this case. But notice how he gets on what a lot of players would call the wrong side of this 6-ball on this shot. Now, he could have drew it back and played the 6 and then the 3 and then moved down table towards the 8. But by leaving the 6-ball where it is, you can come off of 3 rails and move in line with that 8-ball. So each one of those patterns would have worked. But here we always talk about moving into the line of the shot, and that's exactly what this does. So if you don't have these 3 rail positions in your game, especially as a 9-ball player, you need to dial them in because they're so important. And guys that complain to me all the time that they don't have good speed control, this is how you defeat speed control. Move in line with the shot and you can be off by 5 feet and still have a nice easy shot. There's another very subtle thing that's going on here. Efren moves very slowly and very deliberately. Now, in recent years, a lot of people thought it was because of his age, but if you look at this old footage of Efren playing, he moves very slowly and very deliberately. Efren sees these layouts. If this was timed, Efren could get through this entire rack in probably about 90 seconds. It's not a difficult layout. He knows exactly what he's going to do, and he's taking his time. What this does, more than anything else, is it causes your opponent to spend more time in their chair. He is causing Mike to get flat out cold. Mike has not been at the table in some time, and Efren could go through this rack in half the time that it's taking him to run these balls. The next thing that we can pick up here is take care of your problem shots early, as I always say. Efren's problem shot is this 7-1 combination. So he's going to take care of it right now and shoot that 7-1 combination. If you're going to have to shoot a combination shot, and there was no way to get rid of this, do it early while you have other balls on the table. And now, if you get out of position on the combination shot, you should have some other options. If you wait until the end of your run, you are not going to have any other options, and you're going to be stuck trying to, number one, play your problem shot, but then the shot that comes after your problem shot, where if you do it early, you'll have insurance shots on the table that will allow you out. It blows my mind how many players will shoot all the easy shots, leave their problem shot there until the end, and frankly, those problem shots are still sitting on the table when they go to scoop up those balls with the rack because they never bothered to take care of them. So his problem shot was the 7 to the 1, took care of it early, and next thing you know, he's out. Once again, he's going to use a side pocket shot as his key ball shot. And here, you've seen, if you watch Efren, you've seen this 1,000 times. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He's going to play this one ball, probably with a little bit of high right, and get just about straight in on this 8 ball. But by taking that little half lap around the table, he knows that just adds another 60 seconds to Mike sitting in his chair. So when Mike finally does get to come to the table, if he does get to come to the table, he's going to have a very difficult time. It's going to be just flat out difficult for him, especially since he's sat in his chair and been negative for the last, by our meter, 12, 13 minutes. So in game time, it's probably been a little bit longer. So here Efren has a dry break and Mike shoots out of his chair. Can't wait. He's running over to the table. And, Mike has his own style. It's been his style forever, and it has worked for him. But there's a lot you can learn not to do from watching him. One of them is the way he bolted out of the chair. He can't wait to shoot. And you can see that the commentators had circled this 11 ball, almost like they had cued him to play an easy shot. If you pause or go back 30 seconds in the video, you can see that the high balls have the easiest first shot, but they are not the easiest to run out. The low balls are actually the easiest run out here, but Mike chose the ones with the easiest first shot. And it might not have been a bad strategy until this happened. He had one possibility to shoot after that shot. So let's listen in on Mike, because that 9 ball was a must position play for him.
Don't tell me I can't hit the 9.
He can't hit the 9.
You can't hit the 9.
He can't hit the 9.
This is unbelievable here. What's the deal here now? Tell me what's going on here today. Look at this. I mean, what's going on here?
I can't stress enough that the negativity that comes out of his mouth, it may have worked for Mike for the last 100 years of world-class play, but it is a bad habit, guys. Don't get into that. Think about every guy you've ever heard talking like that at the pool table. Is he winning? He's probably not. He's probably not winning. And he's reminding his brain and his body and his psyche and his soul. He's reminding himself on every level that he is losing, that things are going badly for him, and the universe is against him. What's going on here? Almost like the game was rigged somehow. Don't get in the habit of talking like this to yourself, certainly not to other people around. And when you turn and you start talking to the audience the way Mike does, a couple things happen. First off, your eyes get off the focus of the table. And if you can tell, the light in the room is different than the light on the table. So once you turn back and face the table, you're dealing with a different lighting situation, and your eyes actually need to adjust to the light on the table, but few people take the time to let that happen. Keep your eyes on the table. Watch Efren walk around the table. He never takes his eyes off that table. He's staring at the table the entire time he's moving, because you don't want your eyes to adjust to the low light in the crowd and then turn and now have to adjust to the table. Keep your eyes on the table. Keep yourself mentally focused and stop all the complaining. If you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. But to vocalize it and to embrace it in a negative way, it's just a bad idea. And after doing it at the table, Mike goes over and he complains to his squad about how bad things are going for him. That just reinforces everything. So stay positive. You can watch Efren in the heat of battle, about to lose major matches, and he still does not have a frown on his face. Think about that, guys. There's something to be said for having a positive attitude at the table. Another interesting thing that a lot of people might not catch is in a match like this, you have a very educated audience. The audience is just flat out quiet during the game. The only voice in the crowd, now we're hearing it amplified, but the only voice in the crowd is Mike Sigel. So Efren is only about 5 or 10 yards from him most of the time. So he can hear Mike over there complaining and bitching about his situation and the whole bit. And he stays focused the whole time. In fact, there's times that you can actually see Efren laughing. He's laughing at Mike. And there's nothing else funny going on other than Mike's complaining. If you're going to be distracted by outside sources, at least find them entertaining. In most cases, if you think about it, they are entertaining. But don't let somebody else's whining and complaining change your game, and don't be distracted by what's going on around you. You can see Efren in matches against Earl Strickland doing the same type of, let's call it, nervous laugh. Just because it's the only voice that he hears, and whether he finds it entertaining or not, he's going to give it the impression. He's going to give the player the impression that he finds it entertaining, and maybe that'll dial them back. We're going to do a whole episode on sharking at some point, but in the meantime, don't be distracted by the antics of another player. Mike finally gets a chance at the table, and what does he do? He walks over, turns around, and starts telling the crowd how bad things are going. He actually says, "I've missed 2 in a row," and once again, reinforcing the fact that he's having a bad day. Now, this is not his fault. He doesn't have a shot. I mean, there's just nothing that goes anywhere. So he's going to try to bank this 1 ball here. There's no safeties on a table like this where the table's still open and you have a choice. So that we can chuck up to a bad luck break. I mean, Efren left the cue ball up against an object ball. Obviously wasn't intentional, but Mike is not going to get a chance at this rack as well, because it is just, once you miss that 1 ball, everything is done. Another thing, and this is really personal preference, guys. As you can see, Mike's wife is in the audience, and you really need to decide whether or not you want to bring your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever the situation, to a match with you. Some people find it beneficial, and some people don't find it beneficial. Efren has as much in the way of friends and family as every other player, but you don't see his corner packed with cornermen. Nick and Billy aren't going to be over there coaching Mike, so they're really sitting there in order to give Mike somebody to complain to. You really need to decide if having a crew with you is going to work out for the better or the worse. I tend to shoot better the more people around me that I know, but it's not always the case for other people. So keep in mind and pay attention. Do you play better when certain people are there or when other people are there? It really does matter down the road. For some people, just having someone they know nearby can be comforting, but for other people, it's just one more thing to take your mind off the table, and you really want to keep your mind on the table. So anyone that might cause you distractions, probably not a good idea to have them there, but anybody that would give you support, it really is a personal choice. So Efren is going to finish out this one. Here's another lesson, guys. Get good with that mechanical bridge. And you can watch, he's going to play 2-rail position off of that. ball to get on the 8. And this is what I mean by getting good with the mechanical bridge. Don't just get to the point where you can make the shot. You also have to play position, whether it's draw, follow, two rail, left, right. You really need to have the full arsenal of your game when you're picking up that bridge. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit us in the comments. Let us know what you think of the video. Have a great day.